how are these social media saving me time? Well, for example, if you're searching a venue, a lot of us work in the meeting and events industry, and from time to time we need a venue. In this case, I needed a venue somewhere way in the south of Holland, Luik, Brussels, Aken, Maastricht. Personally, I live in Amsterdam. So, in the old-fashioned way, how I probably would have done this, I would have picked up a phone book, or maybe I would go on Google, search for some locations, look at their websites, try to see on the pictures how it is, if it works, if it fits, and then maybe I would ask a quote, hope that they react to me quickly, the price is in range, and then if it's a bad day, I have to travel south, maybe 1 or 2 days, to start looking at these locations and see if this venue really would suit me. Now, what I did in this case is just, I'm active in a couple of meeting industry LinkedIn groups. And here it comes back to Dare to Give. It's not the first time that I'm active in this group. So beforehand, I've invested, I've tried to learn the bike in this group. So I've answered some questions, I've been involved in other discussions. And then on this day, I have a question myself. So at the beginning of the afternoon, I post this question in several groups, and then I go do my other work, answer email or whatever. End of the day, I come back to the group, and in this group I had 14 replies, other group I had 8, another one I had 17. And what's so interesting is the quality of this feedback, because of the connection with the LinkedIn profiles, the content that I'm getting is socially loaded. So it's not just saying, well, this and that venue would be interesting, but I can also see who says it and what's their background. So in the first case, this is another meeting planner who is also involved in planning meetings at different venues, selecting venues, knows what is important. So at the moment that she's recommending a venue for this, I can say, well, this is probably a good case. The second reply is also very clear, because this is the sales manager of a venue called Experience Island, who's just saying, well, shall I write you a quote? Well, thanks for the tip, but if I wanted that, I'd probably use Google. So, and even if you get tips from people you already know, you can use their reputation to make an assessment of the information you're getting. So say, for example, you're working with a colleague and you know that she has always had, her venues are tip-top. And at this point in time, she will give you an advice about a certain venue. Well, I'm done. I'm not going to do any more investigation. I'm going to call the venue, say if they have availability, and get started. Just count in your head how much time that just saved me compared to the other way of working. Another thing I've done is what I think is an interesting example. It's not so much about a business, but there's some stuff in here that really shows the Dare to Give. I've sold my house. And I'm aware this was in a housing market in Amsterdam, which is quite hot. On the other hand, it was the end of 2009 when we all said that the housing market was down and in a crisis. So what I've done, I did it without a real estate agent, just to my network. What I've done, I've compiled a brochure with all the questions that I had when I was looking at houses. Anything I could think of that someone would like to know, I put in there. No more questions. Fully transparent. And I don't know if you've ever bought a house, but what was always a question in my head is, why are these people selling? Is it the neighbors? Is it noise? What's going on here? So we actually put it on there. We made it personal. We said, well, we're Garrett and Joelle, and we're selling because we want a bigger house. We couldn't need an extra room, blah, blah, blah. So trust. And then my network. What I did in the first week is I started using social advertising. I don't know, have anyone of you used social advertisements on platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn? So you probably know that anything that you put on your profile, where you live, your age, your education, I can filter as an advertiser. So in this case, I said, okay, I want to show this advertisement only to people in Amsterdam between 25 and 35 with a higher education, with a job, well, all this kind of stuff, and, very important, who are already in my network. So this one step, so who are friends of friends, they call it. I've ran this advertisement for a week, so I created some awareness. You see here the Google Analytics, so we had about 150 hits a day, people checking out the brochure. So then I said, okay, my network now knows that I want to sell my house. Then on Monday, I wrote an email to anybody, and my I have a contact list of several hundred. Well, I filtered a bit on would I really recognize him on the street and would I say hi? So got the trash out. I selected those, still about 450 people, and I wrote them an email which didn't say, can you please buy my house? Because let's start thinking, how many people of these 450 people were trying to buy a house? Probably not so much. But I was thinking about the network behind them. So actually, the subject of my email was RE, so reply, do you know a house in Amsterdam? And then I said, well, and that's something if you live in a big city you've probably experienced before. If you live in a big city, all of the time you get this question, well, my cousin or my friend is looking for a house in Amsterdam. Do you know a house in Amsterdam? Well, no, I already got a house in Amsterdam, so I'm not aware of the Amsterdam housing market. So I started with Emomet. How often do you get the question, do you know a house in Amsterdam? I normally don't have an answer, but in this case, you have the opportunity to help the people in your network to show them a house in Amsterdam. So you get it? I actually help them to share my content to their network. Well, and the results was there because you see the spike on the hits on the brochure. This was on Monday. On Wednesday I had 2 viewings and on Friday we closed the deal. So I sold my house in a week without a real estate agent just by using making smart use of my network. Well, one last example. This is how I use Twitter a lot. Twitter works with the status updates. And if you want to get in touch with people, so if you want to work on the relationships, nothing works as good as your network. So I posted this question. I marked it clearly. Help. This is something psychological. If you use the word help, people are willing to help you. The first reaction is say, oh, let's see if I can help you. And I said, well, I want to meet with conference and festival organizers to brainstorm with them about a solution I have. Well, this was in the end was going to be what's on that I taught you about. I posted this tweet, went back to work. End of the day, I got about 8 to 10 replies, which of people saying, well, if you want to talk to someone who organizes conferences, you maybe should talk to them or his or her. And you should think about the consequences of how this meeting is going to start. Because I'm now going to send an email to this person which says, well, this morning on Twitter I posted this and this question, and this person that we both know, there again is the trust element, said we should talk. So the other guy is never going to say, well, I don't have time to get off, because he said, well, there's this network filter in front of me. If my network tells me this is a relevant contact, let's meet up. So in this way, it's a really quick way to get in touch with people that are relevant for you. Now, here's a breaking point. Let me see how we are in the time. Because I can do 2 things. I can really take you into the technology and talk a little bit more into detail. What are the tools, how I use them? Or we can do a little participative stuff on this part so far. You can ask questions and we could say, how we move on. What would you like? How many of you will want me to go further into the technology, tricky, bits and bytes stuff?